Welcome to Leaders in Light, Love, and Legacy. And of late, my Eagles, I've added into that laughter. We're airing every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fave Unite Radio. This is a space where bold conversations ignite, and we focus on power, presence, purpose, and the beautiful balance of the divine masculine and the feminine. We explore how to align them fully. I'm Joy Ruffen, your minister of enlightenment, awareness, and awakenings. Plus, in addition, a signature style and leadership specialist. And every week, I'll be joined by a dynamic, powerful guest speaker who will bring you fresh wisdom, fierce insights, and unapologetic truth to this table. And once a month, I will be your featured guest speaker. Not today, but every now and then at the beginning of each month, I will be your featured guest speaker. And I'll be bringing insights and dialogue that will be centered around signature style and our divine femininity and power of presence. So if you're craving more style, more depth, more purpose, you have landed in the right place. I'd love it if you'd visit my website at joyruffen.com and make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Joy Ruffen Fashioning Femininity, Style, and Truth, where the conversation continues and the inspiration never ends. And now, my beloved League of Eagles, buckle in, sit back, get comfortable, and get ready to soar with me and my featured guest speaker. So before we do, let me share a little bit with you about my featured guest speaker. Now, most all of you know that I have a serious issue with pronunciations. If it's not Jane, Bill, or Betty, I'm lost. But today, I'm going to bring to you a little bit later, I'm going to pronounce her name a little bit later because I want to share with you a little bit about her background. Lynn Pepsidero, she'll let me know if I pronounce that correctly. She's a U.S. Army veteran from Tampa, Florida. She's proud to have served with the 82nd Airborne. And today, she's serving in a totally different way as an independent advisor. She specializes in retirement benefits, Medicare, and Medicare Education. She helps people transition to Medicare one step at a time. I cannot tell you how powerful, helpful, imaginative, graceful, and loving she was with me when she helped me with things that I had to do for hubby. We're not going to talk about that today, but this is how I met her. First, she's going to educate us about what Medicare is all about, how it works. Because most of us, myself included, I thought I knew a lot about it, but woo, did I have a lot to learn. And what options are available to us all. Then we'll guide them through the process, one step at a time. So all you have to do if you want to learn and get more insights about healthcare needs and budgets, I don't care what generation you're in, even if you're in your 20s or 30s, it's time to know. I wish I knew then what I know now. But what I want you to do now, you know the drill. It's just sit back and help me welcome our featured guest speaker. As I say on the telly, Lynn Pepsidero, come on up and welcome.
Thank you so much, Joy, and thank you so much for having me on your show. It means a lot to me, and I hope that at least I can touch one person today.
Bless your heart. That's my DNA all the way, Lynn.
Yes.
That's why you're here. I adore you. You know that. I have a love fest with the people that I bring here, and most everybody who tunes in, they know that. And if I didn't say to those of you who are tuning in, whether it's good morning, good afternoon, good day, good evening, and maybe to some of you, good night, you're always welcome here, and we embrace and love your company. Lynn, let's start off with a little bit more about your background. I love it that you were in the Air Force, Airborne. So share with us a little bit about that, because it is a different type of service, but it's still service. So tell us, what took you to the Air Force?
So, well, it was actually the Army.
Army veteran, yes.
Yes. So I decided when I was 18 years old to join the Army. And when I got there, when I got to basic training, finished basic training, I wasn't airborne. And when I got out of basic training, the sergeant said, "Who wants to go airborne?" And not knowing what I was getting myself into, I raised both hands, not one, both hands. And, and little did I know, I was training to be the first one into war. Okay. I was jumping out of a plane and I was going to be the first one into war had a war broke out. But I didn't know that at the time. So I raised both hands and I was like, I'll go. And so I went on the adventure to go, and I jumped out of planes my entire Army career.
Lynn, I love that story. And let me tell you why. Most everyone knows that I'm more in the spiritual realm than the religious, and yet they're both aligned in my heart and soul. But I know your astrological sign. And of course you're a pioneer. Of course you're a front runner. Of course you're going to be the first one out of the gate to do whatever, even though you didn't have to. That cracks me up. I love that. And that's a good story. And of course it would be airborne and something that you would be the first one in line to do what you needed to do. That's just your DNA. And that's one of the things I love about you. Now let's get to how did you come to do this great service that you're doing now as an independent Medicare advisor?
Well, I was a stay-at-home mom for 10 years, and I decided I wanted to venture out and try something. So I started my own business. I didn't want to do it. It was just I started my own cleaning business, and that was something I didn't want to do. And then I saw a commercial about being an insurance broker, and I'm like, oh, I want to try that. So I got my insurance license, and I started out at an agency that was not aligned with who I am. They didn't sell the products that I felt comfortable selling. And then I spoke to someone, and they said, you should get into Medicare. And I'm like, okay, I'll get into Medicare. So I went to a Medicare seminar down in West Palm Beach, and I raised my hand. I said, I'm a rookie. I want to learn Medicare. And so somebody came to me after, and they said, listen, I got a great agency for you to start out at. So I started out at this agency. This was October of 2021. And I started out at this agency, and it just wasn't the right fit for me. But thank God, because this agency owner introduced me to the agency I'm at now, which is my forever home. Unbelievable people there, and they have taught me everything I know about Medicare. And I'm so very, very blessed. They're very sincere people. They're very down-to-earth people. And that's what I needed. I need to be somewhere where I can be myself and use my integrity. And I found my forever home. And it was May of 2022.
Isn't that, Lynn, let's back up a wee bit, because you're giving me, and I'm sure those who will be tuning in now and after, a lot of jewels that we all need to hear from time to time. I'm constantly amazed, Lynn, because I meet so many fabulous, beautiful, heart and centered soul beings like you, who always say somewhere in the conversation, you're welcome, my love, is that through this, they met and came into that. It wasn't something, you went somewhere, you weren't crazy about it. It wasn't, and the same thing happened to me. That's how I met my hubby. But the bottom line is that one thing leads to another. It might not appear the best for you at the time, but ultimately it will give you something that you need or you're seeking. And that's what you said happened to you with this agency that you discovered through one that you weren't fond of, however that came about. And by the way, my love, I don't know if I think I shared with you, back in the day, way back in the day, I don't go by age and numbers, but I know people do, that I went, after I left the fashion business, became a little bit jaded. I got because a friend of mine said, you need to go into the insurance business because that's where all the young dynamic Black women are going today. And it's opening up for us, blah, blah, blah. So I took a year off. I had made enough money, saved enough money, that didn't have to work. And I went to insurance school and I got every license you can get. I think I told you this story, but now the public needs to hear it too. I went, Lynn, like you, I didn't like the company. I liked the people, but I didn't like the work. Mm-hmm. But here comes my husband bouncing in one day as a consultant. And that's where it all began for me. So I get what you said. One thing led to another. It's amazing. So when this one thing led to another, and you mentioned one of my favorite words, integrity, down to earth. What was it that you knew after a short time that this was the company and the agency that you wanted to be with?
So when I started out, with every experience, as long as you learn something from it, you've gained. Okay.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
when I started out at the agency that I knew that I never wanted to sell the insurance for, I learned a lot.
Yes.
I mean, I learned a lot, and I took what I learned and I kept on learning as I went on. So just because you're stuck in a place where you think that, you're just stuck, there's always a learning process. You can always learn from anything.
Beautiful. Yes. I agree. I completely agree. And I think oftentimes I'm somewhat in that position now, and it's hard for me to see what's ahead because I'm stuck in the what's now. But I also know for sure within my heart and soul that what you just said is absolutely true, because it might feel like you're stuck, but you're really not. But in that stuckness that you were in, you met someone, and now you're with a company that you absolutely love and you adore. So tell us a little bit about when we are about choosing our Medicare agent, what are some of the first steps? How do we go about it? Because I have to tell you, with all of my insurance knowledge and awareness, and when my time came to investigate for my hubby, I was a little bit lost. Thank God I found you. So share with us some insights about considering how to choose your Medicare agent.
Okay, so Medicare is very complex. There's a lot of moving parts, okay? Yeah. So when you're turning 65, coming off an employer group plan, or under 65 with disability, it's really, really important to find somebody that specializes in it. Because if you don't specialize in Medicare, you don't understand the complexities. You don't understand how monthly premiums are determined. You don't understand anything like that. And when you have an agent that does everything like Obamacare, Medicare, all the insurances, they don't understand Medicare like I do. 90% of my clients are Medicare. So not only do I know Medicare like the back of my hand, and you have to have an agent that specializes in Medicare. Now, another thing is you have to, when dealing with Medicare is very individualized to the person's healthcare needs. So you always want to work with somebody independent. And what that means is somebody that's independent is contracted with several carriers. Okay. Because that will allow you to be in a plan that is specifically for your healthcare needs.
That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. And the way you started off, Lynn, I mean, I think when most of us consider or thinking about it, there are all these different plans that are being advertised and promoted. And if you don't know, you don't know. But to get someone who specializes and to give you the awareness and insights that you gave me, because the insights that you shared with me were spellbinding and mind-blowing in so many ways. And you said individualized, specialized, independent agencies. How do you go about finding them? I know how I found you, but how does one go about finding someone like you, especially if you're first time out of the gate, Lynn?
So that's a great question, because when people, my local people around here, when they look up Medicare specialists, I'm the first one that pops up.
Wonderful.
Lynn Pepsidero, independent advisor. And so I had a phone call the other day. A lady had just Googled Medicare advisors in the town that we're in, and my name first popped up, and she called me. So, and one other thing that I want to make a key, very, very, very important key,
Yes.
is Medicare is your health care for life. Before anybody gets into any plans or talks about any plans or even, anything, you want them to educate you first. Education is the key, because if you don't get it right in the beginning, there's a possibility that you may never qualify for the plan that you could have signed up for in the beginning.
That is so powerful in so many ways, Lynn, because I know how I came to you, because I asked a few questions and I had a beautiful head nurse at the facility who recommended me to you. But yet you're saying that one needs to look for an independent advisor when it comes time for Medicare. I don't know how many really do that. I get the feeling it's not a large percentage. And that education that you get, how do we, or maybe I should ask you this, ought your insurance agent be the one who tells you at some point in time that it would be wise for you to consult an independent advisor for your Medicare?
That's a great question. So there's a lot of agents out there. And, it's sad because it can give me a bad name, but there's a lot of agents out there that sugarcoat things and tell you what you want to hear.
Exactly.
And that's not a good strategy.
No.
I let them know, first of all, when I do speak to them for the first time, I'm like, our first appointment is just education, fact-finding, and answering any questions.
Right.
If you whomever you decide to deal with, you always want no pressure. You don't want to come off, you don't want to be a salesperson. You want to make sure you educate them first. And then, of course, you walk them through the process step by step. So it makes their transition as easy and as smooth as possible. And, a lot of, they're getting bombarded with mail.
Yes.
They're getting bombarded with phone calls. And sometimes people just pick up that mail and call that number. But it's usually a captive agent, which is one that's only contracted with one carrier. And at that point, they're just going to try to, put you in a plan that they can offer. And that's just not how I operate.
I know, far from it. And Lynn, while you're talking, you're sharing something with me. I'm thinking back, because I'm old-fashioned, old school back in the day, and happy to be, because I love all of the new, but I'm very much in tune and in sync with the old. I remember back in my day, the Medicare and Medicaid and all of these different policies has started, and they would start to solicit you at the age of 55, at the age of 62. Now it's 55. So you're bombarded with all of this stuff. Boom, 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 boom. And you're right. A lot of agents, this is true though, Lynn, in every circle arena that you can go into. I don't care what business it is. You're going to always have those people who sugarcoat and tell you what you want to hear as opposed to what you need to hear. So I get that. And what you're doing is you're doing it with no pressure. But how do you get the people who are younger? Because I know you're working predominantly with seniors to come to you to plan and project ahead. Are you working in alignment with maybe some agents that you really have high regard and respect for, letting them know if they're working with somebody who's in their 45, 55 range, to let them know to talk to you before they make a plan or decide upon a plan? Is that something that's feasible?
Yes, it is. And also I have some marketplace clients. Yes. And what I do is when they're turning 65, I help them. But if anybody, this is for anybody, if they need help with their clients that are turning 65, please contact me. Yeah. And I will go through my presentation with that particular agent and show them what I do. And so they feel comfortable referring people to me.
Oh, yeah. Indeed. I will be referring to you until the cows come home. Have you ever heard that expression?
Yes, I have. I'm a Southern girl.
Yes, and that was one of the favorite ones in my little environment at some time. That's really good to know, because I like you, integrity is at the top of my list in any and everything, and then skills and talent, all of that. Let's go to something a little bit more aligned with exactly what we're talking about. How does one determine what's the best Medicaid monthly premiums for them? You alluded to it before, saying that it's contingent upon all the variables, but share with us some of those.
Okay. So a lot of people think that Medicare is just a level premium and it doesn't change throughout the years. And that's why it's important to be educated first. Medicare Part B, which is your doctors on original Medicare, and Part D, as in Delta, the drug plan, they are all determined due to your income. So what happens is it's a 2-year look back. So in 2025, they're going to look at your modified adjusted gross income in 2023. And that's how they determine your monthly premiums. Okay. Yes. And it's really important to understand, because if your income is high, you're going to have what's called IRMA adjustments. Okay. And what IRMA stands for is income related monthly adjustment amount. Okay.
Never heard of that.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't. So that's why it's good to have somebody that specializes in Medicare, because they know all this stuff. And so and this changes every year. So in 2027, they're going to look at your 2025 taxes. In 2028, they're going to look at your 2026 taxes. So it's important to educate your clients on how those monthly premiums are determined and what the income limits are, because not everybody pays the same monthly premium for Medicare.
How does that work out for the people that you bring aboard? Do you meet with them every year at some point, depending on their enrollment time, or is that just an automatic adjustment that's made?
So the IRS is going to adjust it every single year, because everything's connected. You know, so it's not something I call and say, hey, what'd you make 2 years ago? This is what your premium is. The Social Security is automatically going to send you a statement saying, this is what your Part B monthly premium is this year. Well, they should anyway.
Well, okay, understood now and no, but how does it work for somebody who's just on Social Security? They've retired. They don't have all of the goodies that are stashed away. How does that work?
What do you mean, the goodies?
How does it work as far as the IRMA and IRMA, the income related, blah, blah, blah? How does that work for somebody who's just living on Social Security now without any...
So the income related monthly adjustment amount is more for people that are high income earners. If you're just living off of Social Security, no pensions, no 401k, no IRA or anything like that, then your income is going to be on the limit of the average Part B monthly premium. It's when your income is higher, that's when you have those income adjustments.
Got it. Because I never share information, but knowing of people who don't have any pensions, IRAs or annuities or things like that, or even insurance put aside, and yet I just know that. That's why I asked that. But that makes sense to me. Yes.
Well, the average Part B monthly premium for 2025 is $185, and if you file individual and not with a spouse, then the income limit, I believe, is 106. So if you're under 106K, then you're fine. Your Part B premium is 185. But if you go over that limit, that's what's called the IRMA adjustments, income related monthly adjustment amount.
Yes.
And with couples, I believe it, and I don't have my chart, it's either 214 or 216. And if you're above that, then you're going to have what's called the IRMA adjustments.
Fantastic. Listen, I love learning. I hope I'm this way when I'm 120. And I probably will be. I have this insatiable curiosity, and I love knowing and learning and to get to the knowing. So I really appreciate all this information. And I was not aware of IRMA. IRMA, IRMA. And I love meeting new people, so that's good introduction for me. Let's go about to enrollment periods for those who are tuning in and who will gather this powerful information that we're sharing, because you enlightened and made me much aware of something that I wasn't aware of. How does that enrollment period work? Because I thought it was like, Lynn, at the first of the year, at the end of the year, they start this heavy enrollment for all of the plans. And they want everybody to come aboard. And you made me very much aware you don't have to wait until then to do it. So give us some insights about enrollment periods and plans that are available.
Okay, so enrollment periods, the first enrollment period that's really important is your IEP, which is your initial enrollment period. Okay, that's for people that are turning 65. Okay, and that's important because this is going to be your health care for life. So it's important not only what we talked about to find an agent that qualifies, but someone that's going to educate you. And then the IEP is only for 65 people turning 65. Now, you can actually stay on the only thing that Medicare considers credible coverage is an employer group plan. So you can actually stay on your employer group plan past 65 years old, and then you would qualify for what's called an SEP, special enrollment period. And that's a little different. I always walk people through it, but you have 63 days from the termination date of your group plan to get a Medicare plan before you start accumulating any penalties. And that's with the IEP, the initial enrollment period for 65, you have a 7-month window, 3 months before your birth month, and 3 months after your birth month. And then after that 7-month window, that's when you start accumulating prescription drug plan penalties and Part B, as in Bravo, your doctors on original Medicare penalties.
You know what I find fascinating? And some time ago, I attempted, and I still get caught up, Lynn, from time to time, to stop doing this. Now, you mentioned, but you always qualified it. That's why I'm giving you kudos. The IEP and the SEP. But you said to us, and you're using that. What is that called? Acronyms or something? I think it's called acronyms, right?
I think so.
I'm not sure. Acronyms or it's not alliteration. That I know because I love alliteration. But anyway, you explain what it is. IEP is initial enrollment periods. SEP is a special enrollment periods. But when you use it and you gave out those, I think it's acronyms, you explain what they were. Because for someone on the outside who has no clue and they don't know what you mean, to say, depending on your IEP, you can do this, that, the other. But if you don't explain what it is, they're saying, what?
And through, because I educate, I do a lot of Medicare education. And so you have to explain everything. And there is another very, very important enrollment period that I'd like to go over before we end the enrollment period.
Oh, no, we have time, my love. Go ahead.
Okay. So AEP is a very, very important enrollment period, and that's annual enrollment period. Sometimes you see it on TV as they call it open enrollment, which really it really irks me because it's really not open enrollment. It's annual enrollment period, and it runs October 15th through December 7th. And that is the time, and anyone on Medicare, anyone, it doesn't matter if you're 65, 85, whomever you are on Medicare, this is the time to review your plan, October 15th through December 7th, because Medicare changes every single year. Carriers take drugs on and off their formulary. They change their co-pays. It's just Medicare changes every single year. Okay. So it's really important, no matter what if you're on a Medicare supplement or a Medicare Advantage plan, it's important to review your plan every single year. And with all my clients, I show them, I educate them on why it's important. Not only is it important to review your plan, it's important to work with somebody independent reviewing your plan. And that's someone who's contracted with several carriers. So with all my clients, I always send them a letter in the mail And I also send them an email reminding them, and not only reminding them, but explaining how to schedule an appointment with me.
Lynn, I'm cracking up over here. Let me tell you why. I'm going to share with you and the public out there because I love sharing, and I stand alone, but I'm not alone or lonely, and I love camaraderie. I just mentioned to you, but I didn't use the right verbiage in a different way about what you said, and I love the way you engage, educate, and explain, which is all one and the same. You said AEP is the annual enrollment period. Well, that's what hubby and I got caught up in about 5-6 years ago. And we went to this plan, but because it was between October and December, I thought it was October the 1st of the year, but by the 1st of the year, it's over. And that's an annual plan. And we signed up with a plan that sounds so good on the telly because that's what hubby was watching all the time. But then it turns out to be the worst plan. I'm not saying the name, you know the name, we're not sharing it here. But what we needed and what, if we had been more cognizant of all the opportunities, we could have talked to you then before we made changes. So that's why I'm cracking up here.
You never, and I'll give you a special piece of advice.
Yes.
You never want to call the television. Okay.
I know.
Because it's not. It's a call center. First of all, it's a call center, and I'll tell you, just with my experience, they don't have your best interests at heart.
Yeah.
They just want to sign you up with the plan they're offering, and you're never going to hear back from them. With Medicare, you need somebody not only to educate you first, walk you through the process, sign you up, but you need somebody you can call, text throughout the year. I have clients that call me from their doctor's appointment asking me questions. And that's very, very important. If you're out there and you've never heard from your Medicare agent since you signed up, shame on that agent. Call me.
You know why I'm cracking up here, Lynn? I'm telling you, I say it, I'm repetitive for a lot of good reasons, in my humble opinion. Because I do love learning. And I remember somebody saying to me not too long ago, because I said something in just conversation, and they said the same thing verbatim. If you hear it over the telly, don't call, because it's a call center. And that's especially true of computers and car dealerships and cell phones and so on and so forth. Go to and get right to the service and find the specialist or the agent. So that's why I'm cracking up, because this is how we learn. This is how we learn.
Yes.
It's funny. It's really funny. That said, how does one go about, I know, but I don't assume anything anymore about changing one's Medicare coverage? Because that was a biggie for me, and you and I know the saga and the story there. But how does one go about changing Medicare coverage if they are in a plan, they're not happy, they're not pleased, blah, blah, blah? I mean, I know somewhat, but people want to get the nuts and bolts of when, where, and how.
Well, first of all, call me and I'll help you. No, I'm just kidding.
Now, what we're going to do, Lynn, is we're going to put on your poster or whatever, and in the caption that we send out, your website and your information, because I only have your email. Now, I don't have anything about my cell phone number being out in the stratosphere, but if you do, you're going to put your email and something on there so people can connect with you. But they're going to call you, and then from there, other than that, what do you do if you're searching for someone? That's why you're here, because I want everybody to know, whatever generation they're in, all the options that are available to all of us.
Yeah, so you can change your Medicare coverage, of course, during the enrollment periods. Okay. And if there is any special election periods, you can change your Medicare. Like, for instance, Florida had a special election period because of Hurricane Milton. And this election period actually ends today for Florida. So, depending on what state you're in, there's always, there could be a special election period for each state, SEP, depending on if there's been a disaster or anything. Or, if you moved out of the service area, that's a special election period. I'm trying to think here. If you've moved into a retirement home, that's a special election period, because I have a what else? if you're coming off of an employer group plan, that's a special election period.
Well, you know what? You just hit a bullet there for many people who are tuning in here and listening, because I think regardless to generations, because it could be not so much for a younger generation, but maybe someone elder in their family line that they're thinking about considering putting their loved one into a retirement home or an assisted living or something like that. Because the question that I have for you, and I'm not saying that I have all the answers, far from it. But I know for sure how this works somewhat. Are you in alignment with some of the facilities that are in the area that you're in, letting them know that if somebody's going to make a change in coverage, that they can connect with you? Because that's how I came to you. But
yes.
If that's the case, do you have a list of all of the assisted living retirement homes that are in this area that you can make sure they have your information before someone makes drastic changes, that they connect with you? Because the way you educate is powerful.
Yes, so I need to get myself out there more with the retirement homes.
Yeah, me too.
And that's that's on my list to do. I plan on going to each retirement home, letting them know who I am, what I do, and how I can help their residents.
Yeah.
But it's just a matter of getting out there. I've been so busy in the office with, and I'm very blessed. When I say I've been busy, that's a blessing. I'm very blessed, and it's a great complaint. I just haven't gotten out there to all of the retirement homes in my area yet, but I will do it. I will do it.
Well, I'm glad I mentioned that, Lynn, because I think I know you're very personable. I love the way you explain and educate. And what you said, and I had a beautiful, soulful guest the other day who said, you're not about twisting somebody's arms, but giving them all the facts and figures that they need to make their own decision contingent on what you're sharing. And you said you need to get out there. I think we're all so immersed in what we're doing somewhat. I'm guilty myself, because I want to work more with businesses and corporations and very professional business women. And since the pandemic hit, getting back out there and doing more networking, I have not been doing either. So I get what you're saying and I understand it. But yet, I'm telling you, from soul to soul, it's our time to do that. And we'll start to do that. Now, let's talk about and wrap this up and end with this, because it's a good one. You've mentioned it somewhat earlier, retirement. Because sooner or later, everybody gets there. It's like what I call they have this campaign now, anti-aging. Well, in my humble opinion, there is no such thing. It's pro-aging, limitless aging, ageless aging. We age. Just do it the best way you can. That's what we have to do.
Absolutely.
Tell us and explain to us what FRA, Full Retirement Age Plan, is all about.
So there's a lot of misconceptions about full retirement age. And when I talk about full retirement age, I'm talking about collecting your Social Security benefits, okay?
Okay.
So if you're not at your what's called FRA, full retirement age, and you collect your Social Security benefits, in 2025, if you make over $23,400 annually or $1,950 monthly, and you make over that, and you're collecting your Social Security before your full retirement age, for every $2 you make over that, you have to pay back $1. Woo-hoo. And that's something people don't know. So people start collecting their Social Security benefits before their FRA, full retirement age, and they're like, why am I not getting the full benefit? Well, because you're making over that income limit. And so it depends on your birth year, what your full retirement age is. So like 1958, if you were born in 1958, 66 and 8 months is your full retirement age. If you were born in 1959, 66 and 10 months is your full retirement age. If you were born in 1960 or later, then 67 is your full retirement age. And if you wait till after your FRA, and every year you wait after your FRA, you gain 8%. So, but you do have to start collecting at 70.
I love that. And you know what? All the time you're explaining that, I love all of these. It's not acronyms. I quickly looked at acronyms is when you have the letters IEP. Well, somewhat, I guess it is. IEP is initial enrollment period. So the letter begins with a word. I is initial, E is in enrollment, P is period. So I guess it is an acronym. I thought I was off on that. But
you're doing good, Joy.
You know what? When I was in school, I would love to have heard that more because I missed out on the English. That's why I have such a hard time pronouncing things. That A-E-I-O-U and pronunciations and how to get it through. I just do it phonetically and then I screw it up. But you know what? I laugh at myself and with myself. So it's okay. But I love the way you explain this to us as far as knowing and understanding it more. You are a teacher at heart. You know that.
Joy, I love what I do. And not only do I love what I do, I love helping people that are confused about Medicare. I love walking them through the process. I love when they come in my office and they're all tense. Yeah. And then at the end, I had a client one time, they were so tense. And at the end of my presentation, at the end of my education, this client had his feet on top of my desk, relaxing. And his wife's like, get your feet down, get your feet down. And I was like, it's okay. And I knew right then and there when I saw that man put his feet on the desk and prop his feet up, I knew that he felt comfortable and I was doing my job.
Well, you know what? This is a great way to end. And you know that I love laughter, and so do you. That was a little too relaxing because the decorum and etiquette went out of with the way you handle it. But you know, that said, everything that you shared with us, Lynn, it's been powerful. But you know, the work that we do here is about presence, style, leadership, equality, and divine femininity for us women. So I have to ask you a question before I give you the ending question here. I want to know from you as a professional and a businesswoman and all the things that you're doing, entrepreneurial in so many ways, what story does your style tell about you? The presence of you, the clothes that you wear, how do they speak to your greatness, the gift and genius of you?
Well, you know, it's all about feeling good on the inside, okay? About loving yourself and being authentic and sincere. But you gotta feel good on the outside too. Yes. So when I meet a client, I dress for success. Because at that point, I know, I'm like, okay, you know, I have that inner confidence. I know Medicare, but not only do I have the inner confidence, I have the outer confidence. Yeah. And that speaks loudly because that makes when I have the outer confidence, the inner confidence gets even better.
I love that. And that's a great way to answer the question. And thank you for that. I really appreciate that. Let me ask you this. Our time has gone by so quickly. It always does.
I know it did. Didn't
it go fast?
Yes,
but you're a ball of fire and I just adore you. But I feel that way about 93% of all the people I bring here. I cannot.
Never 100% Joy. It's never.
I don't think so. But that said, what is the takeaway? What food for thought? What pearls of wisdom? What do you want the people who are tuning in, listening to you, to walk away with? Now, this will be aired a wee bit later, and then I'll give you all the things that you need to know about it. But what is the takeaway? What do you want them to walk away with today? Now the stage is yours, and then I'll close the show out.
You know, integrity is most important to me. I want to lay my head down at night, and that's part of the 7 core values of the Army. So, you know, when I saw the 7 core values, integrity stuck out to me the most because I want to vow to ethically do anything I'm doing with, you know, even do it right, even when no one is watching, not only in my work, but just my everyday life. And I want to be able to lay my head down at night knowing I've done the best I can do. And, you know, we're not perfect and we do have our faults. But as long as we get up the next day and we continue to learn and continue to better ourselves, that's all we can do.
Well, I don't think you could have ended it better, my love. And I loved it all, but what's resonating, and everyone's heard me say this, I'll say it over and over and over. I am repetitive. Even when no one is watching, the core values, integrity at the top. Lynn, I cannot thank you enough. My heart to yours, much, much love. I'm going to slip you into the green room. You can just stay where you are, and I'm going to close out the show. And thank you, thank you, thank you. I'll share more information.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's been my pleasure, been my honor. I learned so much with you, and it's always fun. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And all of you out there in the audience, that's a wrap for today's episode of Leaders in Light, Love, and Legacy. And because we always have so much fun here, I've added in laughter because, you know, I love laughter. I also love to dance. I'm Joy Ruffen, and it's always an honor to be your guide and companion on this journey of life, we call it, as your minister of enlightenment, awareness, and awakenings. And my Eagles, if today's conversation stirred something deep within you, don't let it stop here. Lynn, her last name, Pepsidero, I think that's close, is eager to meet you and to support you in any and everything that you might need to want to know about the independent work that she's doing. So connect with her. And also me, visit me on my website, joyruffen.com, and connect with me personally. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Joy Ruffen, Fashioning Femininity, Style, and Truth, for more conversation, insights, and style with substance. My Eagles, whether you've drawn to leadership, style, divine femininity, truth, Lynn shared a lot of truth with us today, or stirring and simply being the powerful being that you are and being bold in who you are, there's always something fresh, fiery, and soul-stirring waiting here for you. Remember that we gather every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fave Unite Radio. And we can't wait to welcome you back. So until the next time, my League of Eagles, stay rooted in grace, rise in power, and never stop soaring, spreading your wings. So from my heart to yours, all of my love. Here's to style, here's to truth, and the legacy we're all building together. So until we meet next time, stay radiant, stay ready, stay bold, and stay tuned. Much love, my Eagles. Until the next time, cheers.